Hi, Sean. Good to see you again. So, Sean is my boss, was my boss, and he remains my boss. And the section will actually expose him. He's going to tell us more about himself. He promised to tell everything, including his age, because he always looks very young. And you also tell us why he now has a bushy hair and everything else. So please, I already gave you tips about him. Do you remember? I said search about Sean and come with questions. So here he is. So I wouldn't say much. He will tell a lot about himself.
Okay, so Seun, over to you. If you can just.
Raymond, good to see you again. And of course, I'm always happy to join this session. It's every year. I think I've not missed, have I missed any, Raymond, if I recall? I don't think so.
No, you haven't missed any, yeah.
So it's fun, it's wonderful. Though this time around, I'm joining this time around with a different art. This time around, I'm joining with not as the AFRALO Chair art. This time around is at the is as NomCom delegate art, but more importantly on a personal level. So I'll try and share my screen, and then I have a few slides that I have made. Raymond has decided to give me a very difficult task of talking about myself. It's not something I'm used to doing. So I've just humbly scribbled a couple of things, which I think may be of assistance or maybe of interest to you. And of course, it's basically my life journey, especially in the IG world, that is the internet governance world. Of course, it's difficult to say everything in a slide. It's really difficult to say everything in slides, but I'll try as much as possible to say a few things, some important things, using two organizations that I have worked with as an example, as a basis for some of my experience sharing. Before I continue, I guess this session started last week, and there has been some online part of it. So I'm sure there have been several. By the way, just doing a quick sound check. Can you hear me? Just want to be sure I'm still.
Yes, Seun, we can hear you loud and clear.
Good. So my introduction was done in terms of who I am, but I would also just go to my next slide and introduce myself. I'm an IT process professional. I'm a deputy director ICT at a university called Federal University of Ekiti. The shortened form is it's 4 year, and I'm a NomCom delegate at ICANN. Some of you would already know ICANN, because I'm sure it will have been one of the things that will have been talked about during this session. I'm a track lead at AFNOG. That is the African Network Operators Group. Specifically, I teach the network monitoring track. It's interesting now that is also because I started the network monitoring track as a student, and then I went from the student level to the instructor level, and then I became I became the track lead for that track. Now I would say I'm even retiring from it, because we have other people who are also taking the baton and of course leading the track as well. So in terms of a couple of hats, a few of my hats that I've worn in the past, I've been member of the board of AFRINIC, and I've been vice chair of the board of AFRINIC. I was also the AFRINIC policy development working group co-chair. I've been a member of ELAC, which is ELAC is part of ICANN at large, and of course I've been the chair of AFRALO. I think this is the one that you probably will be familiar with, because I was chair of AFRALO during the time that the GhanaSIG started. So whenever I'm coming, I was coming then as a chair of AFRALO to talk to you and of course share with you. And I was also a Mozilla Fellow it's actually a open internet engineering fellowship, which I have a couple of other arts, but I think these are most critical for this discussion, which I think is about internet governance and how has it been for me, in terms of my journey through it. But before I continue, one thing I want to make clear, which I think that you must have known, but it's good to also say it. IG is not equals to IGF. I mean, so when you consider internet governance, it's not just the IGF, okay? It's not just the Internet Governance Forum. It's a huge ecosystem. There's a lot that you can take advantage of. There's a lot of learning to do. There's a lot of networking to do. There's a lot of opportunities in the different forums. And one thing that is very important is that you cannot be everywhere. I mean, you just have to understand that the internet governance ecosystem is huge and major. And while I throughout my journey from in the internet governance world, which is which is getting to 20 years now, I would say that I have not even explored all of it. So there's a lot of sections, there are lots of ecosystem, it's a huge ecosystem, and there are lots of structures surrounding it. So it just depends on where you want to pitch your tent. But it's good for you to have an idea of most of them. By definition, this is one of the definition of what we can say is an IG, internet governance, in terms of collaborative management, and oversight of the internet technical infrastructures, policies, standards, by diverse stakeholders. I intentionally decided to underline that diverse stakeholders. And what is the central goal is to ensure a stable, secure, and open operation of the internet globally. So there are various aspects of internet governance that you can be a contributor to. I started participating in some of them. Then I realized that there are some other. Then I realized that there are some other, and then I started getting involved with. I was talking about the IG, how very wide, and of course how there are various diverse stakeholders in it, and how it is important that you don't target getting involved in all of them because it's not realistic. But it's good to be aware that it is not just when you attend Internet Governance Forum that you have participated in IG. That is not it. I mean, throughout my almost 20 years of being involved in IG, I've only attended Internet Governance Forums maybe twice or thrice maximum. Maximum, that is the ones I could recall. But I've accessed other IG forums, IG related settings many other times. So, because it's important that you also, especially for us who are young, I mean, I started relatively young in my 20s. That's when I started getting involved. We have a lot of energy as a youth. There's a lot of energy, but once you start growing up, you realize that you also have other things that are demanding and so on, especially when it's not your day job. You also need to be sure that you want to balance things and ensure that you are utilizing your resources properly. So as a youth, you want to get involved in all of these things, but as they grow up, and you want to also prioritize, because there are also other things that will be demanding your time, family, and things like that. So in my journey, I have been involved with some organizations, and these are some of the organizations that I've been involved with. Okay, I've been involved with the AFRINIC, which I've mentioned earlier. I've been involved with the AFNOG, I've been involved with the NSRC, because I'm actually a network engineer by profession. So I've been involved with Internet Society, I was with FOSFA. I mean, the FOSFA secretariat is in Ghana. So there was a time I used to come to Ghana whenever we're having conferences or we're having various programs. That is in the that is in the 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010 period. Between those periods, I used to come to Ghana because we have an office at Ghana Indian Kofi Annan Center. That was when Dorothy was still there. And I think Fred, I wonder if Fred is still at Kofi Annan Center now. Okay, so these are some of the organizations that I got involved with, and of course ICANN. But for the sake of the discussion, I'm just going to be talking about my experience with traveling through the journey with AFRINIC and ICANN. I'm going to be talking about those two because those two are the ones that I feel policies, they allow writing of policy, which is contribution to the internet governance space. Because if we understand the definition of the internet governance, it's us trying to do policies, trying to do access, trying to do various things to ensure the interoperability of the internet. AFRINIC and ICANN stand at the core of that. Of course, Internet Society, NSRC, they also do their own parts individually or as a group. Of course, FOSFA as well, especially when it comes to IGF Forum, when it comes to open source community, they do their own contribution as well. But the one that I would like to talk about more, which I think is much more useful, much more useful for this topic which I was given, is AFRINIC, my journey in AFRINIC, and of course in ICANN. So I started following AFRINIC around 2009. So when I checked online and checked, by the way, this is the first time I will be talking about myself. This is the first time ever I'll be talking about myself. So when Raymond gave me this task, I had to just start searching on some of the things that I've done in the past, which could serve as reference for the sake of this presentation. So the earliest documented reference I could find was in 2011. I served as the co-chair of our AFRINIC Policy Development Working Group from 2012 to 2016. And I also served on the board from 2016 to 2022. In between serving at the board, I also served as the vice chair of the board, chair of some other committees of the board, and so on and so forth. But one thing I want to make clear, one thing I want to highlight in this is that I started following in 2011. I took some I started contributing, which is the record I could find. Maybe I started contributing before 2011, but the one I could find was 2011. So let's assume that I started contributing 2011, but I've been following prior to that. So I think one thing I want to mention here is it is important to observe when you find a community that you want to participate in, you are looking to get to participate in them, it's important to join it and then observe it, learn from how discussions are going, and so on and so forth. And then when you feel the time is right, start contributing. It's very, very important to take note of that. In my role as Policy Development Working Group chair, one thing I wanted to mention here is that it is not, so the way it is done at AFRINIC is that you will get nominated to for election to the Public Policy Development Working Group chair. And then if there are more than one person, of course, voting will happen, and then whoever is elected will become the co-chair. So the working group is actually managed by two persons. That's why it is co-chair. Okay, so the two persons man the working group, and so I'm one of the co-chair, and then you always have a colleague who works with you. So in my own case, I was just doing my own contribution. I was just engaging in the policy discussions, and somebody just noticed me. Some people just noticed me on the community, and they just nominated me. My first nomination, because that nomination was even for me to complete the term of someone else who was leaving the co-chair position for what reason, and that was I think that was forgotten the name. I think it was either Alan Barrett or somebody else. So I just got noticed. Somebody just nominated me that I should serve in the role. And this is also something I want to flag there. Of course, not everybody can be in a leadership position. Not everybody can co-chair. Like for this example now, we can only have 2 persons. But selflessly contribute, selflessly do your own part by just participating. As you participate, people will notice you in the community. And even if they are not saying to come and do a co-chair, they are also noticing you for other things. I can tell you categorically, there are other things that one can benefit. The relationship alone is invaluable. The connections that you build, a lot of learnings that I did, that I know now, some of the things that I know now, I learned them from connecting with people from some of these forums, these working groups, some of these organizations that I've gotten myself involved in. I should also mention that I invested in my early stages. So AFRINIC at that time did not have what they call fellowship. There was no fellowship at that time. So I invested in myself, getting myself to those places. I invested my time and so on and so forth. So just a quick thing about AFRINIC, AFRINIC Development Working Group, in case of you want to get involved. This is the role of the work of the co-chairs, which is my role at that time. The role looks short, but it's a huge task because it's a diverse community, and trying to get a balance amongst the community can be a very difficult one, especially in Africa, where you know that we have a diverse community of different opinions. And these policies are what is actually used. They are policies that is actually used to determine how the IP resource in the region in Africa is going to be managed and administered. Those are the policies that are going to be used, that are used for them. So when you hear of AFRINIC, you know this is what they are used for. This is a typical example of when I wanted to contest, when my tenure was ending, I wanted to contest for a second term. This is a typical example of what the page looks like. And what you will notice is that when I was being introduced, the MC was saying that I'm not an ordinary person. I am an ordinary person. I'm just an ordinary person, and the community that you are in is also friendly and open. There are several people that are in that community that you engage them, you connect with them, but they are big men. They are people who have achieved a lot and so on and so forth. And then but they just see you, they chat with you, it becomes very friendly, becomes very, very cordial, and you feel like you're at home, and it allows you to also learn as much as possible. Then I went from AFRINIC co-chair, I did 2 terms there. Then I went to the AFRINIC board. Again, it was by nomination. I was nominated to this, contested with some other colleagues, and of course, got to be elected to be on the board. Specifically, I was elected as the non-regional, that's independent, non-regional on the board of AFRINIC. And these are the rules these are some of the roles of a member of the AFRINIC board. So this is the one of the time that I was trying to my seat was open for election and I was contesting. and we were actually waiting for the results. One of my friend, Janzos, was actually making fun of me on Facebook then, that before the result was announced, that was my posture. And after the result was announced, let me see if I can get a spotlight here. Okay. What I'm looking for is not here. Okay. So after the announcement, then I guess it captured a smile on my face, and then he also said the most important things, which is actually that the hard work starts. So that is one thing I want to actually flag here. It is not about taking the positions, okay? It's not about going to a leadership position. It's also the responsibility that comes with it. It is the work that comes with it. So you also need to take note of that, while it's good to aspire to be in those positions and those roles, you need to work. It involves a lot of work, and I can tell you that it can be very challenging because you have to do a lot of reading, you have to do a lot of meetings, you have to do a lot of deliberations, and these are on voluntary basis. These are volunteer jobs. They are not work that pays you, for instance. Yes, when it comes to the relationship or the connections that you make there, it could actually turn to a multi-million naira project. Sorry, I'm using naira here because I'm talking from Nigeria. But of course, it could be a multi-million naira, multi-million dollar project. And of course, those opportunities are there. But these are volunteer jobs, and you need to take note that it is when you go there, do a good job by performing to the best of your own ability. That is when things will also be appreciated, and of course, the organization which you so much care about will also grow as much as possible. This page is very, very dear to me, and I want to use it to illustrate something to us. These are some of the various scenarios of my life where I was a participant, and that is it in, on the right side top. You can see me in front of the mic. You can see Ale Naina. I'm sure some of you will know him. And of course, you can see our big daddy, Professor Nikweno, at the back. That's actually, we didn't plan this queue. I mean, this is one of the queues where perhaps there's a policy discussion that is ongoing, and members of the community wants to contribute or raise their opinion about a particular policy or about a particular matter that was happening at AFRINIC. At that time, this picture must be at least 10 years old. It's more than over 10 years, most likely for this picture. So this depicts that there are different various generations in the community. So you also have generational support, okay? When you get to the mic, you are not the only one that is, you don't feel like you are the only one that is, you are alone, okay? As you get to the mic, you also get recognized, no matter irrespective of your age, you get given the floor, and then you get to speak. You can see a whole Nikweno standing on the queue, waiting for his turn. You can see Ala Naina. Ala Naina is a John Postel awardee. You can see him waiting on the queue, waiting for his turn to speak. And of course, I am the next on the queue, and I'm also doing my own contribution to that particular discussion that was happening there. So there is always the cordial collaboration. There's always the sense of community. There's always the sense of participation. The other one beside it is when I was chairing one of the sessions as a policy development working group co-chair. The one beneath it, or below it is when I was AFRINIC headquarters as AFRINIC board member. And of course, the one on the right side of it with a group of people is when we had a cross-regional internet registry meeting with the boards of another regional internet registry. They came to meet with us with AFRINIC board, and we had a very good collaboration. So if you look at all these pictures, it depicts and will tell you that you don't need to limit yourself that, can I participate in this? These are lots of, these people are gray-haired people. Will I be able to contribute something that they will appreciate? And don't grade yourself like that. I have to tell you something now. There are some things that when I was doing the search for these slides, when I was trying to build my slides for this particular session, and I was checking some of the archives, there are some things that I've posted 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, that I read them now and I'm wondering, why did I post this, for crying out loud? You know, but that was the level of my understanding at that time. So it's just because I have learned more now. That's why I can say, why did I post it 12 years ago? But the thing I posted 12 years ago, I mean, generated contribution, people actually participated in it. But, you know, right now I'm thinking, maybe I could have written this differently because I know more now. But at that time, that was the best I knew. That was the understanding I had, and that was how I felt I could contribute. So please don't hold yourself back by not wanting to, by marking yourself. Don't grade yourself already before you even get to write something and contribute in a particular discussion. There's really no need for doing that. It's very important for one to be able to raise his own opinion. And you know, from Africa, especially when it comes to global participation in internet governance related fora. Take note, I said fora, not just internet governance forum. Participation of Africa is also not very, very big. So it is important that we get more voices to engage and to participate in some of these discussions across the various forums. Okay. Now for the journey of the ICANN parts. I started following ICANN around 2012. I know my time is running out because I want to give room for questions. So I'm going to a little bit move faster. I started following ICANN around 2012. The earliest documentation of reference where I've posted something is when I participated as a fellow, an ICANN fellow in 2014. That was ICANN 49 to be specific. ICANN has currently reached 81. And I also was part of the IANA stewardship transition. There was a cross-community working group on stewardship. By the way, just in case, just a form of more information, IANA is actually the core work of ICANN. So those are the ones that are actually responsible for issuing the global IP addresses and ASNs, and also top TLD to various people in terms of the name, various organizations, in terms of the numbers and in terms of the names. So IANA is the core technical work of ICANN. Every other thing that you see in ICANN is just is the huge community part, but the small part of the work, which is the main thing of the main work of ICANN, is IANA. This was under the US before, and of course they normally give it as contract for ICANN to manage. So the US government then announced that they want to they want to hands off their oversight role of IANA to the global community, which is ICANN. And so we had to develop a proposal that would ensure that the IANA is still having a well coordinated and of course good community oversight of that function, so that the IANA itself is not something that is now in the hands of one government or in the control of one organization or so or thereabout. So we had to develop that proposal, and that is why we now have what we call the PTI within ICANN. And of course, the PTI is now the one that is in charge of the of overseeing IANA functions, as I've mentioned before. So I started in those roles, and that CWG stewardship was a very difficult one, because it actually involves you, when you're trying to draft a new structure, a new plan for an organization, you need to have a lot of understanding. You need to have a lot of, you need to be able to read a lot and things like that. So that was the challenge. The challenge in ICANN is that ICANN things are very, very voluminous when it comes to documentation. So you need to be able to find time, contribute time, read, and because it's a global thing, it's not like Afrinic, which is within Africa alone. It's a global thing. The diversity, the opinions, the intellectuality also is diverse. It's also global. And then you need to also participate at that level. And of course, be able to share your opinion whenever it's required. So I was one of the members from Africa on that panel, and it gave me the opportunity to actually know a lot about ICANN, because I was coming from the numbers community at that time. So it was easier for me to follow through, and then the transition enabled me to be able to know more about the name side, that is the domain side of ICANN. The fellowship of ICANN was very helpful. So if some of you are thinking of, oh, maybe ICANN is one of the organizations that you want to participate in, maybe ICANN is one of the organizations that you want to participate in actively, please try your hands on the fellowship program. I understand that EGIGFA members, those who have participated in this SIG, actually have been getting fellowship. They have been winning ICANN fellowship, and that is actually a very commendable one. I think in Africa, so far now, I think EGIGFA has now become the source for fellows, because they actually have, I think you guys had 4 fellows at some point in time in one announcement, if I recall. But the point I'm just trying to make is that you are in a good place, you are in the right place, you have the opportunity to get all the information and all the opportunity to become an ICANN fellow if you are not one already. And I'm sure, I hope those who are fellows already from EGIGFA would be able to share their experience on how they also got the fellowship, especially the application part. So that is a good opportunity. That is a good place where you can actually kickstart your, fast track your learning experience and participation experience within ICANN, because when you are a fellow, everybody comes to you. Okay, as a fellow, everybody comes to you. You hear a lot of information. At times, you may even be info bombed, because there'll be so much information that you may not be able to process all of them. But that is it. After some time, you get used to it, and of course, you'll be able to filter out the ones that interest you. I participated as a member of ELAC from 2015 to 2019. That again is Atlas at a global level, and of course, I was one of the representatives that was elected to that position from Africa, which is AFRALO. And thereafter, I participated I served as the chair of AFRALO. And at the moment, I'm serving as the NomCom delegate from ELAC for ICANN. And the role for NomCom delegate is actually to fill some open positions within ICANN. We fill positions on the ICANN board, and of course, we fill positions within the community, in ELAC, GNSO, and of course, CCNSO. That is the country code top-level domain. And then the GNSO is the GTLD, is the global top-level domain. And of course, is the generic top-level domain. And of course, it is a lot of work. It is, but you have to have a passion for it. So long as you feel this is one place where you want to start your journey, once you start, it will be fun. You just realize that you get used to it, the experience start coming up, and you also start mentoring people, and within some time, you become a go-to person within the community. Just some pictures that I thought maybe to show to you. The one on the top right was when I think that was ICANN 49 in Singapore, my first fellowship program. And then the one on the right was ICANN 51 when I came for fellowship the second time. And since then, I've attended over 20, not even 20, over almost 30 ICANN meetings across the globe, participating to fulfill my responsibility in the various positions that I've been able to, that I've humbly served in. And that is where I also met great people like the convener of EGIGFA itself, who calls me Oga, but he himself is the Oga in the loop. So that's where I got to meet Raymond, and of course we got to collaborate and so on and so forth. Some more pictures, and some of the pictures are quite interesting that I look different, and especially this one of ICANN 49 Gala, I look at it and smile. All of us were looking young, and the guy in the tie is the current vice chair of AFRALO, Bram Udusani. The guy in the middle in suit is Christian Bope. He was my colleague, former chair of ICANN African board. I was his vice chair then. Some of you may know Boniface, and of course, I'm sure some faces may be familiar to you. The person I was with down there is the former CEO of and president of ICANN, Fadi Shahadi. He actually contributed greatly to the globalization of ICANN. So it was through his leadership as the president that we now have ICANN spread to various parts of the globe. Now ICANN has a hub or an office in Africa. They also have a office and a hub in Asia Pacific and so on and so forth. So ICANN became very, very much globalized, and this gives opportunity to improve participation from all around the globe in the policy development working group processes that was happening in ICANN. So for the sake of time, I summarized a couple of things that I learned in terms of lessons. I learned that, of course, internet governance is very broad and large. Something that I've said earlier on, is not possible to be everywhere. I mean, you just have to face the reality. You cannot participate in everything. So I've just mentioned about Afrinic, my experience with Afrinic and ICANN, because those are the two main communities that I was very much focused on. I've been at the IGF, I've been at ITF. ITF is also another one that if you are a techie, you can also find it interesting to participate in it by contributing to the protocol development that is being used for on the internet. So, but you can't be everywhere. I mean, there are times that ICANN meetings will be happening. Then the next week, another meeting will be happening. That you just don't. How do you do it? I mean, how do you cope with those moving around and moving around and moving around? It may be easier when you are young, but as time goes on, responsibilities start happening, families start cropping in, the need for various things start cropping in. You just have to prioritize. But even as I was young, I couldn't participate in everything. It was not realistic. So I had to just choose my focus community, and I ensure that I do my best in those communities. That is very important. Focus on a few communities that you want to be involved in and ensure you do your best. Leave a footprint in those communities. That is what will give you fulfillment. That's what gave me fulfillment. And that is what I believe also would help you to be appreciated by the community, and of course, help you to get noticed. And of course, if it's to fill a position, help you get into those positions. Yes, I mentioned that it helps to observe and learn about the community before you even start posting on the community or you start contributing. Learn and observe, sign into the community, learn, observe what is going on there, ask questions when necessary, and of course, start participating. And the last, second to the last, participation is very key. I have talked about the keyword participation a lot during the course of presenting this session. It is very important that you participate. I said you should learn, you should watch and observe, does not mean that you should observe to infinity. Okay, please, once you observe the community and how things are done there, start contributing. Start contributing. Whatever you contribute, is there. People will notice you that somebody is posting something, respond to. Some people may get a response, and some of the things that you say may actually be the deal breaker in a particular discussion. So please, it's very important to take note of that. Don't just. I have a lot of people who actually signed up on the mailing list, on a particular mailing list, but they won't say anything for years. It's not proper. You need to get engaged. Engage is very important. And when you get engaged, then people will notice you. And of course, that means that one way or the other, you also be having some growth in your experience of that community and your contributions to the discussions there. Last but not the least, once you start participation, once you draft a message, so long as the message makes sense to you at that point in time, post it. So long as it makes sense to you at that point in time, post it. Don't start saying, what will these people say about this comment now? Or maybe you are even sending it to some people to help you vet it. No, please don't do that. Post your message so long as it actually makes sense to you. Like I said earlier on, the things that I wrote a decade ago, I wonder why I wrote them, because probably it was too basic, it was unnecessary. But that is me now. That was not me then. So even though the things I posted then, they still got responses. So once you find an interesting topic and you feel that you need to respond to it, just go ahead and respond. Don't grade yourself. You get my point? Don't mark your own script. You are not there to mark your own script. So don't draft your own letter, your own message, and then you mark it yourself. No. Post it there so long as you read it and you believe that this responds to whatever the subject of discussion is. Post it and don't be scared. It's an open word, actually. Eventually, your contributions get noticed. You will see there various leaders from the community, and you can see how the diversity is. This is one of the times that we were getting recognized and rewarded for some of the leadership positions that we occupied within ICANN. You can see myself, you can see the boss himself, Raymond, doing his thing as well. You can see some other faces there which you may be familiar with are also there, but most importantly, this is a global community. And eventually, if you also improve your own participation, you will feel like you have also contributed to the internet governance community. It's not just attending IGF. IGF is good as well. It's just one of the avenues where you can contribute to internet governance. But when it comes to IG as a whole, there are several other avenues. I've only just talked about 2 of them. There are many others. And these two that I've even talked about, I've only talked about them in summary because the communities are actually very huge. And it's not something that we can talk about within just these few minutes that I have. So I hope this was a little bit informative. I hope it was not too long for you. I hope it was, I can imagine it could have, maybe it was boring because it was a little bit long. Apologies for that. If you have any questions, I hope there's time for that. I'll be happy to take them. Back to the MC.
Right. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Seun. This is very loaded. Yes. Yes, very loaded. It wasn't boring at all. And you can't get this anyway. So question time. You have a question for him? In fact, you should have a question for him.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So ask the question. If it's something that can answer, my guy is there. He will answer them.
I believe the name is Seun Ojedeji.
Yes, it's pronounced S-H-E-U-N.
Okay.
Yes, so it's Seun. Yes. Seun is the name.
Please, I have 2 questions for you, and I'm believing you can have time to answer them for me. Okay.
Yes, please.
So my first question, what did you find most rewarding about your participation as an AFRALO NomCom delegate? What did you find so rewarding about that particular position? And the second one, what surprises you most about this IG ecosystem? What do you see within the internet governance ecosystem that surprises you most for some time now? I think these are the 2 questions I have for you.
Okay. Do I take that, or are there more questions, or I should go ahead?
Oh, sorry.
Am I good?
Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, sir. It was very interesting listening to you and going through this process and the testimony that you gave. If you were to recommend a community, which one would be?
Okay, so Seun, maybe you can take this.
If I were to recommend what? A community?
A community.
Did you say
because committee? You said that we have a community actually, because you said that we have to choose one. We could not participate in all of them, so we have to choose one. So if you were to recommend one, which one would it be? Yeah.
All right, so you could take this, then we'll take another round.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I will start with the first one. What did I find most rewarding as a NomCom delegate? So like I said, for NomCom delegates, our role is to go out there and look for candidates that will fill the positions that are open within ICANN. So what I found most rewarding there is the fulfillment that we got candidates that are actually worthy of the positions. I mean, the candidates that we got, for instance, very soon, NomCom is going to be announcing the list of candidates that we finally got for the various positions in ICANN. Is going to be announced very soon. The fulfillment I get from that is that I was part of the people that actually got those people, those candidates. The fact that we had a successful search process, because the process of actually getting candidates to fill position by NomCom within ICANN is a very long one. You have to make announcement, you have to do interviews and so on and so forth. That process is a very long one, and me being part of it, and of course, an African, give me the sense of fulfillment that I am contributing to the global ecosystem within ICANN by also getting candidates who are actually worthy of the space, of the seats, of the positions that they had applied for. So that is what is most rewarding for me, especially with regards to NomCom, because that was what you asked specifically. The second question is, what surprises you most in IG? The content. There is a lot of content. There's just too much. Okay, let me just give you an example. There's a discussion within ICANN that started 2 years ago. That discussion is still ongoing up to now. So the time it takes to discuss issues, the time it takes to come to consensus, and the fact that we eventually get to consensus or get to an agreement of a way forward is one of the things that surprises me most. It's very amazing. It's a very huge community, and the time it takes a long time. I wish I could actually have control of it, to be able to say, okay, let us decide. Let us not start arguing and deliberating. That time it takes is actually one thing that surprises me within using ICANN as an example. But using the IGF, for instance, the discussions that we have there, because I've been to some IGFs, and in my own opinion, we discuss a lot in IGF, and I don't really see some of the discussions, you won't see each actually materialize in terms of actions. So those discussions are significant, a lot of discussions, but we don't see them actually get implemented that much. But in the aspect of the ICANN, at least when you spend so much time discussing a matter, you see that at some point in time it gets implemented. But that long time it takes is what amazes me, because the diversity of opinions, the ability to follow through and eventually get a result is one of the things that surprises me most within the IG. Which community will you recommend that you start from? Okay, so there are various communities, right? I've talked about AFRINIC and ICANN. I will focus more on ICANN now, because AFRINIC at the moment is going through some governance issues. So what we normally do in terms of the public meetings are not happening at the moment at AFRINIC. So I will do so because of that. I will focus on ICANN, and maybe I will be a little bit biased. Raymond would say, Raymond will say I'm a little bit biased, but I would recommend that you start from at large. The reason I would recommend at large is because at large as is the home of internet end users. So whatever it is that you're saying there, you'll be familiar with it. It will make sense to some extent, at least to start up. Whatever it is that they're saying in at large will make sense to you. If you say you want to start up from GhanaSIG, for instance, some of the acronyms, some of the things that you're saying there, policy stuff, discussions, may take some time to grasp. So if you start from at large, and in this case, AFRALO, you would be able to at least feel among and of course feel among the community of your African members, and of course the discussion that is happening there will be familiar to you. I mean, at least you'll be able to make sense of what is being discussed. So within ICANN, I would recommend that you start with ELAC, and of course AFRALO. But of course, the other community I would also recommend within the GhanaSIG. If you must start from the GhanaSIG, you can join the NCUC. The NCUC is the user community for the GhanaSIG, which is a generic supporting organization. So the NCUC is a section of it, a section of the non-commercial stakeholder group, which we call the NCSG. So the NCUC allows you to participate as an individual member, so long as you use a domain name. You are actually eligible to be able to be a member of the NCUC, and you can participate. Even if you have an organization, they also have what they call the NPOC, which you can also participate in. So at large first, through AFRALO, because at large has 5 regional internet registry, the one that you can join from Africa is AFRALO. So AFRALO is the one that you can join from Africa, and that is the one I will recommend first. I think I hope I've answered the 3 questions fine.
Yes, you did justice to it. And, just to know, we'll take another round of questions. But then yesterday we had a session on consensus building. And then the arguments have already started. So continue. All right. So.
Hello, Mr. Seun. This is Ashil from Benin. I work as a network engineer, and I'm so glad to see you as working as a network engineer too. So my question for you, you mentioned that you are involved in the measurement track at AFNOG. I would like you to share some resources, or at least to the mailing list, so that to follow that the activity there. And the second question I had was about AFRINIC, but since you mentioned that it's going through a government issue, I think I will stop that one.
Okay, so who's next?
Thank you very much, Mr. Seun. I really like the presentation that you share with us. My name is Raimi Nwati. I am a librarian from Benin. I would like to ask you this question. Do you think that someone who didn't study IT can have like the career that you have now if we consider all the journey that you have in the internet cabinets, do you think that someone like me who didn't study that can go to all the different positions you went to?
Then maybe shall we take last one that you can answer those? Yeah. So
Thank you. I have 3 questions. One, what actually inspired your passion for the internet governance during its nascent stage in Africa? How has the journey shaped your work today? 2, could you possibly share practical tips for effective participation in policy development, especially within the AFRINIC region? And my last question is, how can we strengthen multi-stakeholder alliance to enhance internet government in Africa?
okay, so we'll pause here for your response.
Okay, let me start with the last one because that is three questions. So let me try to pick those. What inspired me to serve to participate in IG? So let me give you a background. When I started I started getting involved in AFRINIC, that was the first I started getting involved with AFNOG, then AFRINIC. Because AFNOG and AFRINIC, they hold their meetings at the same time. So I got a AFNOG in 2008. I got a AFNOG fellowship, kind of, to attend AFNOG workshop. And that fellowship was 50% support. So I had to raise for the remaining 50%. I think I got it through Google, but it was run through AFNOG. But I had to raise the remaining 50%, which my organization was kind to help me raise, while I then raised the remaining cost of transportation and visa and things like that. When I went to that session, when I attended the AFNOG meeting, because they did the meeting in such a way that the workshop is such a way that when you attend the AFNOG workshop, you are allowed to attend the AFNIC conference itself. So it allowed me to observe and see what is happening at AFNIC as well. So what inspired me initially was my urge to learn. I was interested in building my own technical skills, and that was why I went to the workshop. So I wanted to learn about more things. At that time, I was a certification junkie. I was just doing every certification at that time. You know, I had done my CCNA, I had done my CCNP certifications, and I was just interested in learning more and learning more. And so I explored. I applied for AFNOG workshop fellowship, and I got it. And of course, the rest is history. So my motivation was the interest for me to serve and learn, most importantly. I wanted to learn. And then when I got to AFNIC, I realized that I can actually also serve there. I can contribute to the discussions, and the people there are actually friendly. And so it makes things easier for me. Tip to participation. Yes, as I mentioned earlier on, when it comes to participation, you have to be interested. You have to be ready to contribute your time. It is time consuming, I have to say that. Be ready to read and read a lot. That is also very important. Then be open to opinions. So there is no participation, there is no consensus building if there is no flexibility. You have to be open to other people's opinions. You have to be able to shift ground on your own opinions. So long as it's not a red line for you, you have to be able to shift ground, and you have to be able to recognize that not every time you win a discussion. Okay, that is very important. In a diverse community, in a discussion, a consensus building environment, you don't get to have the last word all the time. So that is very important to take note of. So how can we enhance the multi-stakeholder in Africa? Well, what we are doing right now, which is the GhanaSIG, is one way to enhance it, but it is also important that we bring in more diverse voices. For instance, in AFRINIC, we don't have many women, many girls, many ladies participating in policy discussions. We need more women participating. We need more ladies participating in policy discussions. In leadership positions too, we don't have many women or ladies in those positions. We need them to also participate. Though we hear a lot of time that women have barriers to participation. There is no barrier. It's just the interest. You guys have to, and I'm happy that I'm seeing a lot of women in the room. You guys have to be interested. Get interested, get involved. And when you get involved, you realize that there is really no barrier in these things. Especially when it comes to remote discussion, by the way, mailing lists, contribute to it. Nobody even know whether you are a female or a male when you are contributing on a mailing list. It's only those that know you personally that will know that you're a female or a male. So contribute the time. The time is very important. So this is how we can enhance it. We need to bring more diverse voices into the soup so that we have a better and tasty soup. And of course, we need to stop acting locally as well. Yes, it's good to act locally, but we also need to be visible to the world. Let's act globally. Let's be involved in those global engagements. That is also what we also promote our opinions, our views globally. A lot of things are happening globally, and when they make the decision, we are not at the table. We have to also be at the table in being part of those decision-making process. So I will go to the next question. Okay, can non-IT participate? And of course, that's a very good question. Yes, non-IT person can actually, not all the people that are actually at ICANN or even at AFRINIC but most especially ICANN. Not all of them are IT people. Okay, there are lots of aspects of ICANN discussion that is not IT. That does not require you to have IT experience to participate in them. So long as you can read, I mean, that's what I'm saying, that so long as you can read the text, the various documents that have been, and those documents can be voluminous. So long as you can read them and you can ask questions, there are various working groups within ICANN that you can participate in that does not require you to be a core IT person. But of course, you need to know how the internet operates. I mean, you need to know that there's an internet. You need to be able to use the internet, which I guess is basics of all these things. But in terms of whether IT knowledge is important, in fact, I would say in my participation within ICANN, my IT experience, because I'm a network engineer, did not really matter more. It doesn't matter much in my participation. It doesn't matter significantly. There are some aspects of it that the experience will help you to get up to speed as fast as possible because it's a technical discussion. But there are also the non-technical discussion that you can actually participate in. And those ones are actually governance related. They are related to how policies are discussed and so on and so forth. I hope that answers the question. With regards to my work at AFNOG, somebody asked whether I can share some of the materials for the network monitoring. So I said I led the track lead for network management and monitoring group, monitoring class. So what I would do is that I will share so we have a place where we actually archive all our historical classes. And so I will share the link to it. I will look for the link and share the link to it, maybe on the mailing list, or I will send it to Raymond, and then he can share it with you. And you will see that you can, at least from 2012, 2020, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, up till 2020, you would find all the materials there. There are hands-on labs there, step-by-step instruction guides on how to set up some of these network monitoring tools. And of course, presentations are there, slides are there. Feel free to use it. Feel free to ask questions. If you have, you can send it to me on the directly, or you can ask on the mail. I think I'm on one of the EGIGFA mailing lists. I think so. So you can ask it on the mailing list, and of course, so long as it's directed to me, I'll try as much as possible to respond. But I will share the link to those materials for you. But take notes, those materials are actually, the practicals on them are actually Linux based. They are Ubuntu based, so you need to have some experience of Linux. You need to have an idea of how to administer Linux to be able to set up those monitoring tools. I hope that answers all the questions.
Yes, Seun, that's okay. So we have so we are going to our online community. Then we'll come for one last round. So, Councillor, your hand is up. Kindly ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, my name is William Nkrumah. And I want to thank Mr. Seun for the enlightening lecture. But what I want to talk about is sometimes it's very difficult to translate, from theory to practicals. So I just wanted to know how you started with your policy writing skills, or if you're actually available as a mentor to actually, tell us how you went about your policy writing, if possible, or if there are other suggestions you can give us. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Please, do you have any other hand? Do you have any other who wants to ask a question so that Seun can respond to both? All right, yes, for online. Okay, so Seun, you can go ahead. Then we'll take one last round from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. How did I go about policy writing? So for AFRINIC, for instance, there is a template of how you are expected to structure your policy proposal. So, and also there's an archive of previous policies. So what I do is, for the policies that I've actually proposed within AFRINIC, because like I said, anybody can propose a policy. I proposed a couple of them, but for the ones I proposed myself, which I wrote, proposed, the approach I went through was to look at what is the archive, look at the archive of the previous policies, how they are structured. And please take note, nobody is trying to grade you here. The policy is not going to be graded. It is not like when you write it, then it becomes something that is going to be graded. When you draft a policy, even if it is not well structured, there is the staff of the organization, that is in this case, AFRINIC staff. They would format it and they will structure it for you. The main thing is the idea. You want to make sure that you communicate the idea and what is it that you are proposing. At least that one should be clear in your policy. So normally there is a template, there's a format that you'll be given. The format includes the problem statement will be stated, what is the solution, and so on and so forth. Who is the author of the policy? Who are the authors of the policy? Because a policy can be authored by more than one person. If you are authoring it with more than one person, you indicate their names. So that structure is what you follow. Similarly, in ICANN, that is even much more easier, because there is always staff that is actually actively following up with the discussions. So once they're following up with the discussion, the contributions is what we now coming into the policy discussions. So we have people that we call the pen holders. At times I can be a pen holder. There are various people that are pen holders, initiating a draft statement. And once the statement is written, staff are the ones that are going to take it up and then format it in a way that becomes more human readable. And of course, you have a lot of hands to help in that. So you don't really need to be a policy writing expert to make contributions to policy discussions, both in AFRINIC and of course at ICANN. You just need to be able to write text, complete sentence or passage, as the case may be. When it comes to formatting, there's always staff that is available to format. And of course, there's always the historical archive. And that's what I usually refer to see how it was done previously, and then format it accordingly. I want to just correct something, because somebody mentioned that AFRINIC having a governmental issue. No, AFRINIC has a governance. So I want to be very clear that of the word I used. So I used governance. AFRINIC has a governance issue at the moment. So because of that, they're not able to run some of their biannual, I think it's twice a year events that used to be run. But AFRINIC still do online trainings and so on and so forth. I think I saw Bryce. I think Bryce is coming to one of these sessions, right? So Bryce is from AFRINIC. I'm sure he's going to talk more about their work if he has not already done so. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Last round, please. Let's make it snappy. And then, no, 1, because he's supposed to leave us at 1. So we are even grateful that we still have him. So just brief, please. Brief. Otherwise, we are done.
So my question is, he mentioned that he works as someone who finds candidates to fill up a certain position. So my question is, has there been an instance where you get a right candidate and then along the line, you have to let the person go and then be replaced by another person? And yeah, that's it. I don't know if you get my question. Like somebody was selected and along the line had to be replaced for some reasons. Has there been an instance like that?
She's asking as a NomCom member.
Yes, okay. So okay, is there okay, I should go ahead. Okay.
Pardon, just one brief one, then you can wrap the 2 for us.
Okay.
Okay. Seun, thank you for your presentation. It's very inspiring and I've learned a lot from it. I'm a cybersecurity analyst and I want to ask you what are the communities you will recommend and the resources that you think will help?
All right, over to you, please.
Okay. Let me start from the last one. For the cybersecurity analyst, so there's a community called the SSAC, SSAC within ICANN. I'll need to check their requirements because they're about security. So you may want to explore joining that community. I will need to check their requirements again, but I think that you should qualify for such community. But at the same time, don't try also to join the end user aspect of it, so that at least because we also invite ESAC to actually come to AFRALO to give us their updates and things like that. So I would recommend that if for ICANN, join the ESAC community. Okay. See, it's called Security and Stability Advisory Committee. So try to join it, and that may be an avenue to participate in. Second question was about NomCom. So this one, it's so NomCom has something that we do. When we get candidates, when I said I get candidates, it's not just me. So NomCom has several members. So it's just about, we are about
Yes. Okay. Seun, please, you are muted, so kindly. Yep.
How did I get? I didn't touch the system. So what got me muted? Okay.
Sorry.
I'm not sure at what point I got muted, but
Yeah.
I hope I've answered the questions before
Yes.
I got. Okay, so for the NomCom one, I was saying that it's very important to note to you that when we get candidates, all of us, we screen them and then we'll select our finalists and so on and so forth. If for one reason, we always make sure we select a backup from the pool. So in case the selectee, maybe during the process of going through the due diligence process, or for one reason or the other, he or she decides not to take the position again, there's always a backup to take over, okay, that we'll refer to. So there's always a backup in the selection process. So whenever we select a candidate, there's always an alternate. That alternate will be there if the person, the main one, did not actually take the role for one reason or the other. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you so much. We are grateful for the time. Thank you for giving us extra 30 minutes. We would like to take a picture with you, even though you are online.
Thank God for internet. I'm there live in Accra.
Yes.
GhanaSIG.
See, we are boring.